Last night, at my direction, the United States military successfully executed a flawless precision strike that killed the #1 terrorist anywhere in the world, Qassem.
So what proceeded?
Soleimani.
So what happened? This just didn't happen out of thin air. Well, you could go back to 1979, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go back to, I think it was a couple days ago, where some Iran-backed militia fired some mortars, rockets, whatever the case may be, into a U.S. compound up in, I think, Kirkuk, if I remember correctly. And it killed one U.S. contractor. What does he do? I don't know. He was under contract in the U.S. military doing something. So it could have been either from advising, or he could have been a cook. And it injured like 4 service members. So what President Trump decided to do was do some airstrikes on those Iranian-backed militia. I think they killed like 24 fighters, I guess. So naturally, in that part of the world, there's a protest. Well, going back a little further, Iraq has been having some protests of their own. And what are they protesting? Their government, of course. And those protests are reportedly being backed by Iran with money and support and logistics and other stuff. So here, what do we do now? Well, they attacked the embassy. Now, embassies around the world, ever since, U.S. embassy, since Benghazi, they've sort of upped their security protocols. And even if you break down the door, you have to essentially keep going, because there's levels of security, especially in that part of the world. The whole green zone compound is pretty extensive. So in the past, especially during the Obama administration, he would just ignore it, apparently. Well, President Trump decided not to let it go, took decisive action, reinforced it, sent the Marines, and then sent the 82nd Airborne in. I don't think there's 4,000 paratroopers in the green zone. There could be. I don't know anything about that, but they deployed them. 82nd's always there's always a brigade or so that's always on a 72-hour recall. There's like the recall force, if I remember correctly. So they're always on call, and they got called. So that happened. Embassy got burnt. Part of it, like the reception center, the security center, where if you go in, they scan you for weapons. They scan your bags, the metal detector, and all that. Okay. Well, for some reason, this general of the Iranian paramilitary force, the Quds of the Iranian Republican Guard, or whatever the hell they are, IRGC, for some reason, after all this happened, and even President Trump kind of said, we're going to get you back for this. But didn't say what. So the gall of this guy to go, he's in Syria at the time, he goes, you know what? I'm going to go to Iraq. He flies into Iraq, the Baghdad International Airport, meets up with the popular, I think the PRM, Popular Revolutionary Militia or something like that. Gets into a 2-car convoy, him and that guy, an Iraqi paramilitary. You get the gist of this, of where this is going. So, but you gotta understand, a guy like this, which pretty much anybody in the know wanted this guy gone, because he's been such a douche canoe over the last 20 years. So what happens? Security forces are in the second car. They're in the first. They drive off down the road. Now, if you saw what happened, this was like at 1:30 in the morning, their time. So what happened? Well, they're the only car on the road at that time. Okay. So what it seems like to me that there was some ground forces or somebody on the ground that stopped cars from going forward so they would know when there would be no collateral damage. And then an RQ-9 Reaper drone flying remotely was up in the sky with 2 Hellfires. And well, you know what happened. The guy ate him for midnight snack. He is no longer with us in the world. Him and that other guy and a couple other I think his security detail and all that. So, now that we know what happened, and of course, Donald Trump made a statement, put the American flag up, and then Iran came out with a statement, you're going to pay, blah, 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 blah. So it's going to escalate. Now, I bet you're asking yourself, well, Laszlo, what do you think of your opinion is? Well, I don't think it was necessarily the best thing to do because we don't know what's going to happen because they're going to retaliate. And how they're going to retaliate, I think they're going to retaliate pretty big. Now, when they retaliate, well, guess who's going to retaliate? Donald Trump's going to retaliate. I have a funny feeling that it's going to be economic targets this time. I'm talking about oil refineries, ports, etc. Road junctions, maybe. I don't know. Something to that effect to really... Now, again, I don't think this is the best thing to do. Just because, like I said, we don't know what's going to happen. So we're just we're waiting for them to act, which kind of sucks. And then I guess earlier today, they wiped out 5 more militia members, high value targets, I guess. So the thing is that with these guys, they're not going to do it themselves. It's going to be some other shadowy network out there that's going to do something wacky. That being kill Americans, our allies, etc. So 2020 has already started off with a bang, quite literally. As a small L libertarian, I don't necessarily I totally agree with the fact that some libertarians are non-interventionists, don't attack, pacifists. I'm not that way. I'm kind of to the point where that if your property is attacked, if your embassy is attacked, they kill your people, you strike back, and you strike back twice as hard, maybe 10 times as hard. Because you know for a fact that they're going to do something, and then we're going to do something. And then it'll kind of... Eventually what I think is going to happen is they're going to retaliate. We're going to hit them back hard. Pretty hard this time. And then, well, it'll sort of die off. They'll kind of lose interest in it. And they're like, okay, we did our thing. They did their thing, blah, blah, blah. But if this continues to ramp up, it won't turn into World War III. It'll turn into another regional conflict where they do something, we do something. We're not going to invade them. It's ridiculous. It's just not going to happen. We're just going to destroy a lot of their equipment. I'm going to prove a point that, you keep doing this bullcrap, this proxy bullcrap, we're going to do this to you. Honestly, I think that they haven't been hit hard. Not like that virus attack they did on their nuclear facilities where it wiped their computers clean or whatever it was. I can't remember what the virus was called, but it set them back a few months. They haven't really been hit hard other than that and economic sanctions. But that doesn't really affect the wealthy upper class in Iran. It definitely affects the middle and lower classes who, you know, I think their inflation's gone up like half by half or even 3/4 by 75. I think 75% would be a good number to say. So things which cost, you know, X, it's X times 0.75, if you will. So in the terms of what's going on, other than that, we don't know. There's only a couple of people who know what's going to happen. Iran and the United States. And other than that, as far as I know, that's it. We're not going to go to World War III. The world isn't going to end. Yeah, this guy was a pretty high-value, well-known target of cultural significance in Iran and military significance. So, I guess, having said all that, if you're an American, just keep your wits about you now. You know, if there's something weird going on at a shopping mall or a sporting event, I'd take notice and report it. Other than that, it's a new year, and it's gone off with a bang. So I'm trying to think of a new catchphrase going to my out instead of Lazo out, but I'm trying to think of something. I don't know. When I come to that point, I'll use it. Until now, Lazo out.